Hi, I am Dr. Kaileigh Byrne. I'm an associate professor at Clemson University, and my background is in cognitive neuroscience. My research interests in health psychology center around health-related conditions that are part of the frontostriatal system. And I know that that's a mouthful, but given that my background is in cognitive neuroscience, the way that I approach um, concerns or research issues in health psychology comes from a neuroscience background. So the frontostriatal system largely deals with health-related issues that center on reward processing and motivation. And so certain health conditions that are associated with dysregulation of the frontostriatal system are conditions like substance use disorder, where we tend to have hypersensitivity to reward. And on the opposite side of the coin, major depressive disorder, where individuals, particularly those with anhedonic symptoms, tend to have hyposensitivity to rewards. So going along with those lines, I study interventions and cognitive mechanisms of substance use disorder, particularly those with alcohol use disorder and opiate use disorder. And I also study depression. And so because individuals with depression, especially those anhedonic symptoms, tend to have difficulty with motivation, I research different mechanisms and strategies that can be used with this population to promote their recovery and enhance motivation. Some of the qualities that I value in graduate students in my lab include initiative and resourcefulness. So one of my responsibilities, in my opinion, as a graduate mentor is to foster independence of thought and problem-solving skills. And so if a student is highly motivated and takes initiative, it helps to foster that independence. And so students who ask, what more can I do? Are there other papers that I can research? Are there other projects that I can shadow or that I can get involved in some way so I can learn more about the research process, or I can learn more about this issue or condition related to health psychology? That definitely helps students to gain more skills and to develop and hone their own research interests. So that's one that I think is really important. And secondly, in terms of resourcefulness, students who, anytime we're doing research, we don't know the answer. And so we have to get a little bit creative in how we approach these problems. So, for example, if we're trying to think of a research design, resourcefulness might entail, looking at other papers that have done related topics, or, maybe even tangentially related topics, and looking at how they designed their study. And so looking at resourcefulness in terms of research design, again, can help to foster the development of research skills and to help students become an independent researcher. My mentorship style really changes across the time that the student is involved in the lab. So of course, when we start off, when a student is in their first semester, it's really important that they are, in my opinion, are given resources, all the resources they need to become successful. And so I think it's important to have students get involved in the lab as much as possible to learn by doing. And so I try to provide opportunities, as many as I can, as many as the student is interested in, without it being overwhelming, to become involved in those projects early on, provide as much information and resources as I can to give the student the opportunity to be as successful as possible. And of course, early on, having frequent meetings. So at least every week meeting with the graduate student so that they can improve in their research skills and in the direction they want to go with their thesis and or dissertation if they're a PhD student. But then As the student develops and is able to become more independent and has those skills, I think at that stage, transitioning more to honing those problem solving skills so that the student can become an independent researcher and conduct independent research when they graduate at a career of their choice is the goal. So I think it transitions from very, very, very hands-on in the early stages to posing more challenges, posing, you know, alternative questions. Is there an alternate way that we can think about this problem? Is there an alternate way that we can research this question? I think that can help to foster problem solving skills and independence so that the student can be extremely successful once they graduate.